Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 60 of the PT Footy podcast. I am your host, Peter, and today I'm joined by Rich,
Hello, guys.
Timo,
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
and what was supposed to be one of the first ever guests on PT Footy podcast. A year later, Jack.
Hi everyone, how you doing?
Oh my God. It's nice that you're finally here, even though you don't know a lot, but I mean, it's better late than never. Um, I'm sure Yuga's gonna have a lot of fun listening to you try and make sense of what happened. Um, all right. Anyway, I wanted to start off by giving Porto fans a little bit of a treat, um, and I want to just Rich to talk a little bit about Porto because I know he had some things that he wanted to say, and since we didn't spend a lot of time with them the past few episodes, I wanted to know what you thought. What you wanted to say, actually, Rich.
All right, so I guess I'll start off by giving my condolences to my fellow Portista Kevin and his family. I'm really sorry for what's happening. It's sad, but it's gonna get better. So,
And, hold on. Sorry. Once again, the Portistas always fill in for me. This is a good thing. Like I always forget these things. Kevin's the one that reminds me of it. Today was you. So thanks for that. Yeah. I'm gonna send out my public condolences to you too, Kevin, and just get back whenever you feel you're ready. And I know it's a tough loss, but you gotta deal through the pain. You got Carrie. You got other people that like you. We're all here for you, even though you have stupid ass opinions. We're not gonna stop being your friends. Okay, sorry, Rich.
all right, so I guess besides that, I think you guys did a really good job covering Porto, even though they haven't really no one from Porto. I thought Serge did a really good preseason, hype about Porto, and Porto did really have a good preseason. They went to Mexico with played in those conditions and did well, and they did play some smaller teams, but they did also play some bigger teams. Desportivo de Coruña, Ferreira, I think they played, but like not open
Okay,
to the public.
sure.
But we were mentioning
Teams
before.
teams fighting for relegation aren't really big teams, but that's fine. It's your opinion. I'll let you have it.
Oh, okay. But no, I mean, it's better than losing 5-something to Young Boys, but it's
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
With a
All right,
backup
so
team instead of the full squad 11.
all right, and I forget what was the other team that you lost to in for that cup. Like you
Uh,
played
uh,
one game right after the
Leipzig.
Arsenal, wasn't it?
Yeah, Arsenal and Leipzig.
Leipzig. Yeah, that was a team. But besides Benfica, because we're talking about Porto, Porto got a nice new bus. If you guys haven't seen the double decker, it's really nice.
I'm really glad that made the news for some reason.
But besides that, I mean, they haven't really signed any new players. So I mean, I'm really I'm really hopeful in the group that they have. I think they have a really great group. Like, um, considering they got a lot of guys back from loans, and we're gonna be using them. So Ricardo Pereira is like one of the players that's been really hyped about this preseason as for a defender. And we got a Bubukar, which we needed with Andre Silva leaving. I think the only addition that we made was Vana, like a third
Hmm.
string goalkeeper. And besides Oliver Torres, that was mid season last season. I think they are looking into one guy, the Sad, this guy Wendell from Brazil. That he looks very nice. Like he's a young player, but I think he's already ready for European soccer. But that still hasn't been officialized. So, and besides that, I know that they just recent news. They just or sold
Mikel.
Mikel to some
Yeah.
Turkish team, Bursaspor,
some Turkish team. That works.
and I think something else. They what else? Martin Zinding. I think there's talks of him going to Stoke.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was finalized or not.
From what I know, it's not official. I remember that very well. This couple weeks ago, when the rumor surfaced, we were doing the podcast, and Timo was like, "Hey, there's been like a tweet about how Martin Zindi is going to Stoke to do a medical." So I remember that, but
Mhm.
nothing's happened yet.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
but besides that, I guess like the team really stayed the same, but with the loanies that came back, I think it's giving the team a dynamic. Also, some of the guys that we moved up from the B team, like what's that guy's name, Galeno. But I don't think he's gonna be like a starter, but he'll be. I still think we need to get another midfielder. Well, let go of some of the loose weight like Herrera. I really don't like that guy, but uh, even if he plays this season, he's gonna play from the bench. I don't think he's gonna be a starter. And Maxi Pereira, I just hope he something happens with that guy because I never liked him in the beginning. The only thing he's good at is scoring against Benfica, but that's about it. Um,
shots.
let's see. I mean, I think that's it. I mean, I think they did have a really good,
Um,
but I mean, now it's coming to game time tomorrow, so we'll see what if all the hype is true. I think also,
can I?
yes,
Yeah, I was gonna ask you a question, but I'm gonna let you finish.
no, I guess we'll talk about the games coming up soon, so you can ask your question. I was gonna talk about some of the injuries.
Okay, I was just going to ask you if you genuinely think that Porto hold on to every single player.
Um, what do you mean, like the current squad they have right now?
Yeah, like, do you not think? Because I've said it before, and I'm still going to say it until it's August 31st, 23:59, that Ricardo Pereira is not
Mhm.
staying with Porto. Um, and I also believe that holding on to the new, if the PSG interest is real, is going to be very difficult.
So
Uh,
there's another one to add to that, Pete. Apparently, Valencia has come around to trying to pick up Marcano, I think.
yeah, and that's big. Yeah, and that's big because Marcano only has 1 year left on his contract. So what do you do with
Yeah.
that, right?
Well, yeah, I mean that's I'm sure that if the price is right, Porto, they will sell. They do need the money, but I think that it'll kind of put them in a bind, like where if they sell Marcano, for example, they'll have to go in the market one or hold on to Martin Zindi, which I hope they don't because I don't really like him, but that's another topic. But no, that's you're right. There's possibility that they can sell. I'm not gonna say they won't. Like everyone is available for the right price. So
No, yeah, it's just because I'm hearing all this hype around the team when, but when you think about it, there's still no indications that the squad's going to be close. Like I don't care what Sergio Conceição says. I don't care if Pinta Costa comes out and says that nobody else is going to be sold until August
mhm.
31st. A lot of things can happen, and it's just kind of weird to me how they're getting all this hype. All Porto fans are getting like really, really hyped without knowing what can happen to them. I mean, it can still happen. It can still lose. Like if even if it's just like one or two players, that's still gonna hit you. Let's say you lose, for example, Ricardo and you lose Danilo. That's big because Ricardo was a great player. I think he had a very good preseason,
Mhm.
from what I know. Going
Mhm.
back to Maxi is gonna hurt you, and there's no one to replace Danilo. Like I don't care who you put in there, nobody's gonna be Danilo. Not even if you sign
Yeah,
someone.
no, I agree. I mean, but they're trying to hold on to Daniil as much as they can. But like I said, like if a big offer comes, like they'll have to do something. I mean, they'll have to go on the market again. But I really don't think they'll sell those two guys that you mentioned. I mean, since they're very critical, like Danilo is one of our best players, and I forget. I don't know who said it, but like he's very critical to the squad, so they're not gonna want to lose him. So it'll have to be something really good for them to let him go. And like you said, we just sold his backup Mikel, so I think they're gonna just use Andre in that position. But what I was gonna say. Oh, and Ricardo Pereira. I don't know if they're gonna sell him because I heard there's talks of selling Miguel Layun. So I'm not sure if they would sell both like two defenders like that.
Uh,
Similar position.
I mean, the thing is though, the money that Layun can give you, and the money that Ricardo can give you is not even close.
Well, they're trying to renegotiate his contract too because I think his release clause is not that high too. So if they really wanted him, they could get him right now. His release clause is not. I believe it's only 30 million or something like that. So
I think Paredes is 25.
25. Yeah, it's 25.
Just from what I've read, which obviously, if it's on the internet, doesn't mean it's true.
yeah. I know it was in that range. I know it wasn't that high, but I know that's one of the things that Assad wants to do is try to renegotiate his contract to increase it. So.
Yeah, but that's just I don't know. I was just talking about it because I hear like all this hype, and like listening to Kevin or the little that he speaks is it's not even like 5 minutes a day. If it's 5 minutes, it's a lot. But from what I get, it's like, oh, Sporting are in the driving seat alongside Porto in the league, and I'm just like, what have they really done to really assert themselves more than what they were last year? I mean, I think Abubakar can have the same struggles that Andre Silva had.
No, but they also. I mean, I get your point, Peter, definitely. But it's a different formation too that they've been using, and they need to adapt with Abubakar is more of a 4-4-2 formation. So whereas last season Nuno Espírito Santo was doing changing the formation every other week. So like now I think he's gonna remain with the 4-4-2. But I mean, who knows? But Abubakar is a 4-4-2 striker. With Suarez and Abubakar, I think it works out perfect. And Rui Pedro coming into that too as well.
Mm-hmm.
But like I'm not gonna hold out that they might not sell. I mean, with the current squad that they have now, I can say that they are contenders. Just because you can say they remain partially the same team, but okay, they sold one of the best strikers who half of the season also wasn't playing. They have Abubakar who was good when he was playing at Porto. I think he was one of the top scorers of France when they got him. And then he did well with Turkey, so I think he's an all-around great striker. And Suarez is, I mean, he did dip down towards the end of the season as well. But I mean, I think that now that I think anything's possible. But I'm confident in the squad that they have now. I really think that we could sell some dead weight, like
He's just gonna keep bashing the poor guy.
Yeah, I hate him with the passion, but
I think Porto's biggest improvement is obviously in the coaching seat. With Sergio Conceição. But so with that said, I think he's far and above, way better than Nuno Espírito Santo, better than Lopetegui, better than Peseiro. He's probably the best coach they've had in the last, say, 4 or 5 years. Now, with that said, he struggles within like the first, year. Is Pinto Costa just going to let him go like he has everyone else? Because if I think back to when Lopetegui was there, Lopetegui was actually having a decent season, and Pinto Costa got rid of him for Peseiro, and that's what fucked up Porto that year.
They were 1 point behind Sporting. 1 point behind Sporting.
Yeah.
I don't think at this point, Porto's downfall is going to be players. I don't think it's going to be the coach. I think it's going to be, hey, what happens if you're down 3 points with, say, 2 months to go or whatever, or a month to go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think they would do it at a month, but at the halfway point, let's say Porto is behind by like 5 points. Is he going to drop Sergio Conceição like he did everyone else? I mean, at one point, Pinto Costa has to go, or, he's just got to let a coach at least have a couple seasons under his belt. It's tough for a coach to come in and take a squad that's been used to doing, say, let's just say 4-3-3, and, with X players, and then all of a sudden bring him in, and now a coach wants to assert himself and put his mark on the game and move it to the 4-4-2 like you state Conceição's doing. And then, if he's not going to give him and the team time to adapt, what's the point of changing coaches?
Yeah, I agree with you guys, and I also like to add that there's an issue that nobody points out, but to me is the biggest reason of this Porto downfall is the foul out with Ante Henrique, which to me is the what
Wait, say it
continued
again.
to
Uh,
the foul out. Yeah, Enrique,
the
Ante Henrique, and
PSG
That's the one at PSG now?
agent.
yeah, the one that's in PSG now.
Okay.
Because I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but when Wapetegi was hired, he wanted Mark Silva. When Wapetegi left, he wanted somebody else. When Peseiro left, he wanted somebody else. It was supposedly what he wanted was the right guys for the team. He wanted the right players for but the issue is that Porto, and this happens with every club. So before Kevin comes out to me and just kills me, but the issue with Porto right now is that there's so many conflict of interest inside the club where you're feeding people who are leeching off your club, literally. Uh,
No, yeah, I agree with you. I
and
mean,
he,
and I think that's one of the reasons they got rid of Antonio Enrique,
he
because like the reason we have Herrera is because of him, because he wanted him to play, and because he was getting a cut every time he was on the pitch, so he got a commission off of that, and I agree with you. So
yeah, but not in that sense. But that's fine. I didn't know that. But what I was saying is that like he was the one that's actually trying to clean up the trash. That's what I was just
oh,
letting
you're
you know.
right.
Yeah.
Um,
So he was Pinto Costa's right hand for so many years, and all of a sudden he's gone out of the club, uh, and his
I mean, he
son's still
still has
there.
influence. I
That's
mean,
all I'm
you
just
still
gonna say.
you still had Neymar doing his medical at Porto, so somehow he still has the influence there. I don't know how, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I agree. I mean, um,
I was just saying because
I
sometimes
mean, every club has that. I mean, it's not just Porto. I'm sure that Benfica has that as well, and Sporting and other
yeah.
clubs.
But
It's
the
the
issue is
agents
when it
that.
gets too deep, though, which is what, in my opinion, is like happening with Porto. Is that I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure what happens. If you're trying to clean up the house, like the best guy that you have in your club, and you get rid of him, and you have bring no one good to replace him. I mean, they brought in like the previous guy, like below him or whatever, but he's not as good as Antero. And then you still have like Pinta Costa's son doing a lot of deals for the club. It's just we'll see. They did.
Well,
I'm gonna because this year they
well,
didn't have. They
I'm not.
couldn't.
To be
They
honest,
couldn't buy. So
no,
this.
I get what you're saying, and Pinta Costa did a lot for the Porto club. I'm not gonna say anything about that, but like, I'm at this moment, I'm not the biggest Pinta Costa fan at this moment. I think he should have hung his boots or his presidential boots like a while
His
ago.
tie.
His tie, yeah.
Yeah, uh, and the club is suffering a little bit because of him, and because of that stuff like that you mentioned, but changes eventually when he either God forbid, but I mean he's having some medical issues and stuff, so I don't even think that he's even I think he has a replacement now or something for a couple of months, but eventually Pinto Costa has to go and things have to get changed.
Yeah.
Uh,
The issue is that
but
I don't even think that team is his at this point. Sorry to cut your train of thought, but that's just kind of the feeling that I get is that after Paul Fonseca, that team's off. That team's been off Pinto Costa's hands, in my opinion, and he's nothing more than a dummy for everybody to point the fingers to.
And a lot of people say that. A lot of people say it's all the sad. I've spoken to a lot of my Portuguese friends, and they say that the coach has no decision on like who he wants on the team, and I completely agree with that. I really don't think that maybe Lopetegui a little bit, but I don't know. After that, I don't see really calling the shots. I really think it's Assad at this moment, but
Yeah, which is not good. Which is not good. Timo, do you got anything to add to this? And I'm gonna let you go on a bit, Rich, but just about this whole subject.
No, I don't have anything else. I think you covered it completely, and I think I asked the question that I wanted, and that's pretty much it.
All right. Okay. Just before I ask you about, let me ask you first, actually. So what are your expectations for tomorrow's game against Real, the season opener?
Well, I expect Porto to win, but besides that, I mean, I hope to see a good game. I've been surprised lately of all the recent matches. But right now I just listened to Sergio Conceição's press conference before the match, and he what did he say about the pré-época? He's like he said in Portuguese, like eles têm culpa. How did he say it, Peter? Did you see the press conference or
No, I didn't. But can you help me if I can translate it over for you if you want me?
He was basically saying like o Porto tem eles têm culpa because of the great preseason they had. So is it their fault that they had such a great preseason? Basically, what he was saying is like
he was being sarcastic.
Huh?
Was he being sarcastic? Because that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, he was. I guess because the journalist was talking about like the preseason. Basically, he was
the expectations.
The expectations, they're not like in football. You're not the they had such a great preseason, so everyone's shining the light on that. So they expect great things, and the Porto fans all do too. So I mean, that puts a lot of pressure, and that's what he was saying. He's like, pressure is good, and he likes the team having that pressure, and it makes it more competitive. But I mean, besides that, I think that tomorrow's game is going to be really good. I mean, Estoril has a good team as well. Also coached by a former Portista, Pedro Manuel. So I think it's going to be a good game. A good home match. Hopefully Suarez, because I know Suarez has also a muscle injury, and that was one of the things they also mentioned in the game. But when Sergio was talking about his injuries, he didn't mention Suarez, but he said that he'll be like a game time decision, really.
That might hurt you.
So I know that's the only thing I'm worried about. But besides that, I think that they'll be fine. I think they'll do well. And yeah, that's it. I mean, I saw most of the other games. So I mean, the little teams are in the beginning of the season they usually open up, and they're not playing so defensively. So I hope that's what happens in tomorrow's game, and Estoril goes and tries to win the match, just like Desportivo Aves was doing with Sporting, and Porto scores early, because if they don't, then it's always nervousness when you're waiting till the 98th minute to score a goal.
Yeah, just like happened last year. Jack, the first time to intervene here. Is it fair for Porto fans to believe the hype?
Hype-wise, like what? Like, oh yeah, we're going to win the league, or
yeah, like how we're going to win the league. We're going to run with it.
Run with it? No. One thing I would say, just echoing the point before, maybe going off on a tangent a bit, but
go ahead.
You've got to set the pace. If you are going to hype up your team, and that you do have to get wins in the earlier games. Otherwise, if you start dropping off, and you're trying to catch up to other teams, then the hype's not there, is it? So I'm not really one to make a judgment, but we'll wait and see after tomorrow. Porto start out.
Okay. With their squad being basically the same as last year's, I mean, a new coach could maybe bring that team to play a little bit of better football. I mean, because we all know Sergio Conceição, right, from Braga and all that. Do you think that he's maybe the right guy to lead them, to lead a squad full of egos? It's true, though.
Very biased.
No, it's ask Rich. It's true. He knows.
Wait, what do you mean egos? Like, like they're all famous.
Like the Brahimis, those type of guys. They're fairly hard to manage. I mean, I'm just saying.
I mean, if you hear, I follow a lot of the Porto news and I listen to the players' reactions to the coach. They all say that, he's a very hard coach. Like, he's a tough coach, and he expects a lot from them, and his practices are pretty rigid. But I think that's what Porto needs. They need somebody like that with Guerra to bring back the mystica that they want. So okay, I talked a little Portuguese. So Mystica is like the magic that they used to have back when the Deco days and stuff. They're trying to bring that back, and I really think that Sergio Conceição is doing a good job of that. Like, of course, every manager is gonna have egos that they have to fill, like every other team control exactly. But honestly, Porto has a fairly but I think that they're pretty young as well too. So Brahimi, of course, he's hard to control, and sometimes it frustrates me watching him too because he likes to dribble a lot and doesn't pass most of the time. So I'm hoping that Sergio kind of puts a little control on that too. But you can't also be too controlling because I feel like that kind of also puts a lot of pressure on the player. I can't perform the way I want to, or show off my skills as much because I have my coach on my back all the time as well. But I think that Sergio Conceição is going to do a good job. My father-in-law always makes fun of me, and he's like, I bet you by the third match he's going to be already out of the game. And I agree with him. But we need that because sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I feel like you need somebody like that, somebody that's can put a fire on your ass and make you play better. So, with the Nuno Espírito Santo drawing on these press conferences with his whiteboard, drawing what the answer. I think what Sergio Conceição, his hard attitude, that's what the players need and that's what the players want. So,
all right, now Jack. Back to what we were talking and what Rich said. What do you think? For this Porto season, and what do you think? Do you think that Sergio Conceição is can be the guy to lead them to a title?
You've got to understand that I'm coming at this from an angle that's a bit not as engrossed in it. So when I look at the Portuguese league as a whole and Porto as a team, especially with the squad that they've carried over, I think they're always going to be, a dangerous team. No Champions League football this season as well may help because you've got less games. It gives the squad more time to recover. The thing you were saying about egos as well, I don't know, you said it was a team of egos, which is fine. That's an assumption, but having a player with an ego isn't necessarily a bad thing if you are the type of manager that you're trying to hint at that can actually use that to the advantage and get them to actually, be a bit more confident and expressive on the pitch. And, if they are talented players, like Brahimi is a decent player, as an example, if you can kind of encourage them to kick on and get on with the season, then I don't see why they can't go far in the season.
All right, fair enough. That was all right. I would expect more biasness, but that's all right. Just kidding. Just kidding. It didn't work. Now, you got to remember that deep down you're a Benfica fan, so that's what matters. Anyway, just kidding. Now I wanted to move on to Benfica. Let's go with chronicle order. So the first game played of the 2016-2017 season was obviously the Supertaça. Benfica won 3-1 against Guimarães. Seferovic, Jonas, and Raul scored. I can't quite remember who scored for Guimarães though. If somebody knew. Does anybody know?
It's Rafael.
No, Rafinha, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. There you go, Jack. That's all right. See, already being useful. Bruno Varela in goal, André Almeida, Luizão, Jardel, and Grimaldo across the back. Face and Pizzi in the midfield, Servi and Salvio on the wings, Jonas and Seferovic. Rich, you caught a bit of the game, right? What did you think of the bit that you watched?
All right, so the bit I watched from mostly the whole second half. So when I started watching, and I was like, oh, Benfica were up to no, actually no, wait, I still saw Guimarães score, so I did catch towards the end of the first half. Oh, I was like, okay, 2-0 up. Benfica scored in the sixth or 10th in the 6th and 10th minutes, right? So
Yeah,
I was like, oh, this pretty much seals it, But then when I started watching, it seemed like Guimarães kind of like was playing really well, and Benfica was on the defense, and that's kind of how they got the first goal. But I mean, I was watching with my father-in-law, who's a big Benfiquista, and he's like, "Wow, the second shot of the game, they score a goal, Guimarães." So, but I still think that goal was fairly the goalkeeper's fault, Bruno Varela.
oh yeah, big time.
I don't know what he was thinking. I mean, I really don't know what he was thinking. He basically almost put the ball like halfway in the net already. But
Yeah.
besides that, then I was like, oh, 2-1. This is going to be interesting now, towards coming to a close of the first half, you got 2-1. And then start of the second half, Guimarães was dominating as well. They were playing really well. Most of the possession at that point was theirs. One thing I noted is like I was kind of arguing this with my father-in-law, but like their defense is not that good, to be honest with you. Because even Luizão I remember there was a counter attack and Luizão was trying to run back. He didn't even try to go to the defender. He just was going to the middle of the pitch because he knew he couldn't catch up to the defender. But that's one of the struggles I think Benfica's gonna, even if they don't get some new defense of players that are, not 30 years old. But we'll get to that later. But besides that, I think, there was a defense with Guimarães having that after a throw-in, basically giving the ball to a Benfica player and, gave him the 3-1. And that kind of killed the game from there. After that, we all knew the Benfica was going to win the game. But besides that, I think, also the substitutions, I have to say, that Rui Vitória did in the second half really did change the game. And as far as creating the goal, because before Benfica was kind of playing defensive, so I forgot the name of the guy that came in. What's his name? Francisco something, right?
Wait, what? Felipe Augusto?
Oh, Felipe Augusto and Real Jimenez, who scores the goal.
Wait, Rich, did you think Felipe Augusto played well?
No, I think he didn't play good at all.
I was just trying to see what you were on that one.
I was going to say, well, I know why Pete's asking that question. Pete's asking that question because he loves Felipe Augusto. So if you thought he played well, then you know what? You were taking Pete's side there. But I'm glad you didn't think so because he's terrible.
Hold on.
No,
you don't know what I'm going to say. You don't know what I'm going to say.
I know you very well. You love Felipe Augusto. You actually think he plays well most of the time. Get out of here.
you like Felipe Augusto?
Yeah, I do. But I'll get to my opinion.
No, I didn't play. I don't think he played well at all. And I was watching it with the Benfiquista, my father-in-law, and he even said it himself. It's like, this guy is horrible. Like, what's going on? I was like, yeah, I don't know. But I thought, one thing, I did think that Servi played really well. I put him on my fantasy team because I think he's awesome. I liked him last year, and I was really mad that Benfica wasn't using him as much as he should have been used last year, but still whatever. I like Servi. I think Salvio sucks, and he's just hanging his boots. Salvio was terrible. Like I mean, besides the like opportunities that he missed, like the open net and stuff. I remember
that great play. What you see that great play where he tries to cheat the keeper instead of just finishing the awesome play. Like, oh my god,
that one, and then like the other shot that like. It kind of like came off of his hand, and then he had like an open net with the goalkeeper, and he just shoots it against him. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah,
but still, no.
I think because it's Salvio and he's terrible.
Yes.
I know, but you know what? Rui Vitória keeps putting him in there. Like, I don't know.
It's because of his defensive work, which he keeps him in there. Because you know what, last year with Semedo, as good as Semedo was, especially going forward, he did lack a little bit coming back. I mean, he improved as the year went on. He got a little bit more mature, understood his positioning a little bit more, but knows that Savio is going to put in the effort to at least track back and help out. Same thing with Servi. Servi does a lot of work coming back that a lot of people don't realize. So
Yeah.
I I agree with you, Rich. I think he should have been utilized a hell of a lot more last year. If that was the case, then I don't think it would have been as close as it was, because I think he adds a lot going forward and going back, so teams wouldn't score, and he would create more chances as well, in my opinion. But when it comes to Salvio, that's why I think he plays him, is more because of his defensive work and his work rate coming back and helping out that right side than anything else. Because other than that, what else can you see in this guy?
I think they like to use him because he gets a lot of fouls for Benfica as well. So.
Yeah, he does win a lot of fouls. That's true.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna move on to my part, if you don't mind. I don't know if you had anything else to say, Rich.
No, well, I mean, what did you think about the game?
Yeah, I'm gonna get to it. Okay, so the first 40 minutes were absolutely terrific. They were really, really good. Benfica was dominating the possession, but not only that, they were creating chances, and it's always going to be the same old Benfica. If you give them 3 chances, they're going to score 2. 9 out of 10 times that's going to happen. The first shot of the game was a goal. The second shot of the game was a goal. That's just how Benfica is, right? But we managed to really control the game. The midfield was working really, really well. I wasn't obviously enjoying Salvi's lack of finishing, because what really pisses me off about him, and I tweeted from the podcast account saying, "Oh, it looks like Benfica are playing with 10 men," and some people came at me. I mean, he's been active, and I'm like, okay, yeah, he's been active, but he doesn't finish any of his chances. Like, either the goalkeeper saves it, goes down for a goal kick, or he never passes the goddamn ball. Like, there's no end product with him. So no matter how active he is in the game, you're just wasting possessions because there's actually nothing comes out of it. But I felt our football was very, very good. Like I said, that play that I think everybody should have watched is terrific. Like, first touch, and then like pass to Salvio, and well, we all know what happens. But the final 5 minutes, it looks like Guimarães figured out that they were actually playing a game. They pressed higher. They got a bit more of the ball, and obviously Benfica was also tired. I mean, because being 40 minutes doing high press, because that was what they're doing. Eventually the players get tired out. Guimarães managed to score. The second half was just a continuation of the final 5 minutes. I think this defense is absolutely atrocious. I just don't know what's lacking there. I don't even know if it's Luizão, what it is, but there's something there that's not working. And I don't think it's just the fullbacks. I don't think it's the fullbacks, actually. It's through the middle that we're getting all the gaps. It's in between the right back and the center back, or the left back and the center back. That's where a lot of the gaps are coming from. So I think Vitória definitely needs to work on that. I don't know what it is, but he's got to figure something out.
I think it's the speed, though. Like, you guys are gonna suffer a lot from counterattacks. Like, that goal came from a counterattack.
Yeah.
So, you have to run back to your position really fast, or that's where the gaps happen, like you mentioned.
Yeah, and Guimarães had a few counters that were very good, and just luckily for us, they didn't end up in a goal. But then I thought the idea was right. I was very, very surprised to see him put Filipe Augusto on. Because normally last year we saw that the midfield would struggle and he wouldn't put him on until like the 80th minute, which I think he made the right call, and the right player to bring in. Obviously, Samaris is serving suspension, so he couldn't play. So I thought the call was very, very good. What I think is that he couldn't bring any type of rhythm into the game, where I'm normally a big Filipe Augusto fan. You guys know that I love him. But he just didn't click in that game. Like, he was losing a lot of balls. The only thing that I do give him, and that he's a very aggressive player. Like, if he loses the ball, he fouls the guy like immediately. So there's that to him, and you notice that, a little bit. But other than that, like, we couldn't play out from the back. He wasn't really helping out anybody else, and it was just kind of weird because we just couldn't. It would look like we were playing Arsenal or Leipzig all over again. It was the same old, same old. But obviously, eventually, Guim and I started to tire out, and Benfica pressed a little bit more. They had a chance here or there to score a third goal, and the goal ends up coming from a mistake by Rafinha, which in my opinion is one of the best players in the league, who dumps it off to Pizzi, and you have Seferovic on one side, Raul on the other. You just got to pick it, and you picked one, and the ball found the back of the net, and that was game over. I just wanted to point out that I was a Seferovic believer. I know it can still go wrong, but I'm just saying that I've trusted the signing ever since it happened, and I'm glad it's paying off. I think he had a very good game, and I think we started to trust him because I thought he was more tired than Jonas. To be honest with you guys, I thought he was done, but
he created most of the the goal opportunities, like that shot from the outside of the box, and like I think he was the one that was doing most of the dangerous plays.
Right. That's a good call. He had that shot where it goes just wide off the post, and then the sub happens, and that's what I think. Oh, okay, that was Seferovic's last play, and then I see Jonas come off, and I'm like, okay. So what I was saying is that he trusts his fitness more than Jonas, which is meaningful. It means a lot for him to be able to take off Jonas and keep a tired Seferovic if he thinks he's still going to do a good portion of the job. So
yeah, I think Mitroglou is gone.
I prefer Mitroglou over Jimenez, but we all know that.
No. Who, Stefanovic or Jonas?
What? No, I said I prefer Mitroglou over Raul. That's what I said.
Oh, Raul. Okay.
Yeah. Let me just think. All right, last thing that I want to mention. Two more things that I want to mention, then I'll let Timo go. Bruno Varela was okay. He had one or two plays where I thought he made a decent save. He had one play where I thought if we conceded, it was totally his fault. And when we conceded, I also believe it was his fault. I know some people don't want to put the blame on him, but really, when you're in that position, either you grab the ball, you throw it out of bounds, you don't push it back to your own goal. Like he just deflected it backwards. Like you can't do that. And I'm sure maybe Timo will agree with me or disagree with me. I want actually curious to know what he thinks. And the last thing that I want to say is that I'm still gonna bash Pizzi when he plays badly, but the dude's a total MVP when he's on point. Because he's so good. He's really, really good. Right, that's it for me. What did you think, Timo?
I agree with you on the goal that we gave up. I think Bruno Varela could have done better. But you know what? Kid's young. It's his, technically his first game, playing for the main squad, if you will, from the start. It's bound to happen. We're going to have to deal with him this weekend. Tomorrow, because Julio Cesar is out. Going on into this game or just before the game, there's a lot of talk on Twitter, and there's something I definitely want to get off my chest that I've already said numerous times on Twitter on different tweets. I really find it piss poor that you have fans that are upset that Seferovic is getting the start over Raul. Okay.
Oh, I saw that.
When I see somebody, when I read a tweet or when somebody ats me, when I say, so I clearly said, I said what my lineup would be at the start of the season, and it would be Seferovic with Jonas. And right off the bat, I had like 2 or 3 people that added me and said, you're retarded or you're crazy. You have a new player. How can you give a new player who just gets on the team, the spot that somebody else, deserves? So my whole point is you don't earn a spot based on how long you've been there. Because if that was the case, Andre Almeida would play every game.
Yeah.
Okay. Or, Luizão would play every game, or whoever, pick any player. They would play every single game. Now, my opinion is you play your best 11. Now, my comment was, so you mean to tell me if Cavani was to sign for Benfica this week, he wouldn't start over Jimenez? Like, it's just people who, get too attached to a player, like, don't get me wrong, I get attached to players too, and I love players, and I want to see them play, and I want to see them succeed. I was like that with Jardel, but with Jardel, I actually, a few years ago, I actually thought he was a better defender than what we had. I still think he's even with Lindelof last year, Jardel, if he was healthy, he's our best defensive center back. Lindelof is your ball-carrying center back. Think of David Luiz. Think of Garay, somebody who can carry the ball. Jardel is positionally and, defensively your best center back. He is right now. He was last year. He was 2 years ago, in my opinion. But, I obviously thought many other players did, many other fans did. But with that said, if we were to sign, a world-class center back, tomorrow, would I want them starting over Jardel? If that guy's a better option, hell yeah. People need to get a grip when it comes to that. Raul hasn't deserved anything. Yes, he scored some very big goals. He scored some crucial goals, but we've also seen him play, a lot of games and do absolute shit in the game.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion. I think Seferovic and Jonas work together. They look like they've been playing together for years.
Don't they look like Lima and Jonas?
Dude, they play so well off the ball to each other. How many chest passes have you seen from Jonas to Seferovic, and Seferovic is there, waiting for the ball, and vice versa? I mean, I think Seferovic has actually chested the ball over to Jonas or Rafa twice. I think it was to Jonas twice. And, Jonas gave a good pass to somebody. It looks like they're well-tuned together. Even their first game, they looked phenomenal together. And, when people come at me and say, oh, just because they had 3 or 4 good games together, doesn't mean he deserves a spot. I'm sorry.
What?
If they work together better than the other guy that's been there, I don't care if it's 15 years. No, you play the 2 players who are best equipped for each other and for the team. And in this case, in my opinion, it's Seferovic. I think he looks really good with Jonas. And case in point, like you and both Rich just pointed out, he looked tired, but he got the nod to stay on. Why? Because he was still creating, even though he was tired. The guy was pushing himself harder and harder as the game went on. From the like I said, the bits and pieces that I actually was able to sit down and really pay attention to. And even in the preseason, he didn't look like he ever stopped working, even when he was gassed. And,
his defensive work rate is very good as well. Sorry.
Exactly. No. Cut me off all you want. It's your show. With Seferovic, I agree with you. I see what he does, even coming back, tracking back. Now you have 2, forwards who are both working hard to come back and, get the play or the ball back and start a play going forward. And that's what I think I really like about the 2 of them together is they work like that. Like they've been doing that for however long. And the fact that people are coming at me and telling me I'm an idiot, fuck yourself is what I would like to say, first of all. But, get a clue. And
well, I mean, the Benfica coach had the same idea, so you were right.
Just ask Timo a question, just in theory. Yeah. Say if Benfica go and sign another centre-back as a replacement for Luizão, does the theory still hold, like what you've just said, will that still hold, considering the experience that he brings to the team and, the leadership that he can give on the pitch as well?
So, I've been hearing a lot about, potentially, Marcano going to Valencia, which would possibly open up the possibility of Garay coming to Benfica, and that would be something I think Benfica would look at. Who do I think would be the first to sit? More than likely, I think, knowing Rui Vitória, I think it would be Luizão that would continue to play, and Jardel would take the back seat. That's my opinion, and I'm trying to put my mind into Rui Vitória's and what he would do. But if it were me, it would be the opposite. And I love Luizão. I know he's been there however many years. He's won 20 titles. He is Benfica. He represents kind of like what I think Shell represents at Benfica. He is part of the club. Like he is the club. But I think his experience with Rui Vitória means a lot more than with Jardel's capability, of being a better defender and, quite frankly, having a lot more speed than Luizão. Because on that play that you guys were discussing where Luizão kind of just went to the middle of the pitch, it was Jardel who tried to catch up to the play and tried to defend it and block it. Because that I could catch, and I'm like,
the Grimaldo play where Grimaldo also did a good job tracking back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Almeida got caught up front because he kind of cut into the box and had almost had a play on the goal, or maybe even took a touch but just
I
missed
think
it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think he struck it, but it was blocked, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But when that happened, that counterattack occurred, and that's when Luizão started running. Then all of a sudden, you see him veer to the right, towards the far post, and Jardel came flying down, and then it was Grimaldo that ended up getting, I think, behind Bruno Varela, as Varela made the save.
Yeah, exactly.
Peter, can I add one more thing to that game?
Yeah, sure.
I just wanted to say, I agree with you what you said, Timo. I think that the Stefanovic and the Jonas combination, I think that it's going to be pretty heavily used this season, and I think they do make. And you're going to probably see that substitution a lot because Jonas isn't a 90-minute player, so either Jimenez or Mitroglou are going to be the ones going in for him. The goal, Bruno Varela, we all agree that was at fault. One, I don't think he should even went for that ball. He got out of his goal to go for that anyways. But yeah, but I mean, like I said, Jonas is not going to be a 90-minute player. Jimenez, I think, I don't know if it's because they don't work well together, but I would like to see Jimenez and Stefanovic playing from the beginning. But we all know that Jonas most likely is part. But Jonas is the guy that, like, he creates a lot of opportunities and penalties. I can say that too because I'm Portista, but either. Like you said, I agree with what you said on the defense too. They definitely need to get somebody else. Luizão. Luizão's still the man, but he's also.
Luizão hasn't been the man for 3 years now.
Yeah, you can't.
No, but
you
I mean,
can't go that far. Luizão had a good season last year. I mean,
it was solid, but it wasn't. If you tell me that with Luizão's season, if I prefer to see Jardel play, I would have said yes anyway. If he wasn't hurt, that's how I'm just trying to say.
Oh, of course. I mean,
it,
that's just common sense. You understand which player still has more left in the tank and which player is your better option. But I mean, Luizão had a phenomenal year last year. Given his age, given how much missed time he's had over the last 2 years prior to last season. You got to give the guy a little bit of credit.
Okay, let me just.
Benfica had a good year defensively as well.
but let me just say something then.
He's the giraffe of the defense.
And I think you're gonna agree with me.
Sure.
Just don't extend his contract. That's all I'm asking. Just let him go to some role at the club at the end of the season. That's all I ask.
Oh, of course. And obviously I agree with that. But, what if the player, would still like to play another year? I mean, do you tell him no? I mean,
maybe you would extend him, but you wouldn't start him because at this point it's not feasible. It's not feasible to start Luizão next year. It's not.
And I agree with you. I'm hoping Benfica signs, Garay this year so we can see Garay, Jardel, and Luizão already start to take a back seat and maybe play a little bit more, maybe in the cups or the tosses or whatever. Let that happen. But I mean, to say the guy, hasn't played, his worth, like last year, he did very well,
I know.
And he did well. I mean, he did well with a relatively inexperienced, right back. And I think a Lindelof who had a Lindelof who had a poor year based on the year he had the year prior. Lindelof at the left side is not Lindelof on the right side. And Luizão had to deal with that. He did pretty good.
I know. But what maybe I didn't.
No,
maybe
I understand
didn't
what you're going.
What I was
I do.
Okay, because what I'm just trying to say is that Luizão hasn't been the 100% Luizão that we saw 3 years ago, which I think was his last peak year, basically. Like that Luizão that still played well. It's like 75% of that Luizão from 3 years ago. That's what I'm just basically.
But he's still like a crazy athlete. Like where are you gonna find a player with that kind of like physique and height? You know what I mean? Like he still cuts all the crosses from corners and and he's still a great positional player. Like you can't.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, he's not like the best. I mean, he's not the. He's old. That's all he is. That's it.
Yeah, I know. But that's why I just want to see him get a, more of a
If we don't
side
get
view of the game.
if we don't get a center back this year, which I'm thinking we're more than likely not going to be signing a center back. If that doesn't happen, what I think we really need is a solid defensive right back. I think you're not going to see, a Semedo and Grimaldo, like a fullback. You're not going to see somebody who's going to be going up and down as much. Even though Almeida, to me, has actually been surprising me with his runs a little bit more, and he's been getting involved in the offensive play. He's still not that player. And I don't want anybody to think that I think he's that player, because he's not an offensive player, but I think he's improved his footwork. I think he's improved his ability at going forward. Now, I think what Benfica should maybe look at, because I think center backs are a bit more difficult to come to, is to sign a very defensive or very solid defensive right back who could maybe work a little bit more, and that could have helped Luizão with his speed issue or lack thereof, or his lack of athleticism, if you will, at his advanced age, which isn't too much older than me. So, I think, that would be something smart. I just, I think we're okay.
What is Benfica's, I'm sorry to cut you off, Timo, but what's Benfica's depth on defense? Like, who do they have, like, to back out Grimaldo and,
Eliseu?
So on the right.
Old too.
Eliseu gets the job done this season. Like,
Eliseu is my age. He's not old.
He's great. Eliseu's
He's good at driving Vespas.
Eliseu's very good, solid player.
I can't complain with what he's done for Benfica. I cannot complain with what he's done for Benfica.
Like, for example,
center backs we have is
Timo. I was just gonna say, because we were talking about Almeida, right? I signed, like, if you give me a contract, I signed that Eliseu plays 34 games over Andre Almeida. Like, I think Eliseu is a much better player than Andre Almeida, which people might not agree or like. I think that Eliseu has the ability to play a good 34 games, and like I believe that Andre Almeida can play maybe 14 games without going to the bench. I think that Almeida basically needs to stop and go. Like he cannot play 34 games in a row and be good. While I think Eliseu can be a better player.
I think Eliseu is the more attacking threat, but as far as defending, I think Andre Almeida is a better defender than Eliseu.
I think people underrate Eliseu, because I don't remember a lot of mistakes that ended up in goals, to be honest with you, that he made.
No, Eliseu is a good defender. He is actually a very good defender, but what he lacks, I think, is the speed. I think Andre Almeida is a bit quicker, and Andre Almeida doesn't look like he's out of position as often as Eliseu does. But the one thing I'll say about Eliseu is, even when he's out of position, he surprises you. He gets back into the play, and somehow, in some way, he gets in front of the opponent and he wins a foul.
Yeah,
he is a good defender. I just think he's caught out of position more often than
that's fine, and I'd agree.
Andre Almeida is.
And I'd agree. Okay. But to answer that's a rich question, when he was saying, we don't have a backup right back, and our backup center back is Lisandro, which is absolutely atrocious, but that's it.
Garbage.
Yeah.
Thank you for that goal at the Dragão, though.
Yeah, I'll take that. All right, so I just want to, really quickly, because we're running out of time, run just through a couple of. Basically, what do you guys think of the controversy, like the old controversial calls? And I'll let Rich go first, and then I'll let Timo talk, and I'll butt in.
I'm sorry, the controversial calls, but in that game?
Yeah, like the ones that people are going to be talking about, the quote-unquote penalty, the quote-unquote offside, the quote-unquote yellow cards.
Well, I mean, I've seen a lot of things on Twitter, and, a lot of it, I have to say, my but I really don't think that there was that. From what I saw, people can argue that the first goal that Benfica scored he could have been offsides, but I'm sure the video arbiter caught that, and like he looked to me on the image, he looked like he was online and everything was fine. Again, I didn't see. Was there a review on that game, Peter?
Yeah, there were a few. I mean, not by the referee himself, but they
because every goal
they
is
consulted the video.
Yeah,
They
every
consulted the
goal
video
is
art.
always reviewed.
Yeah, the goals are reviewed, but they called the video art for the quote unquote penalty too. He just didn't watch the images. He trusted what the video art said and what he thought was right at the time.
So I didn't see that. What was the penalty? I'll have to go back and watch it.
I can send you a picture even if you want because I got the journal.
I think I saw the picture. I don't really think that was a penalty.
Salvio extends his arms, right? In a normal... hold on, I have to just send you a picture, but I'll try and explain it to you. Salvio extends his arms, and the ball hits his hand, but where it hits, it would have hit his ribs if it wasn't for his hand. You know, if his hand wasn't there, it would have hit the ribs. So that's why, in my opinion, I wouldn't call it a penalty because he didn't change the outcome of the... Hold on, I'll send you the picture straight away.
Oh, while you look at that, I was gonna add about the game as well. That's what I forgot. Is Guimarães? So we're talking about Benfica, but Guimarães, I think, they are not an improved team from last year. So they did lose Marega and Hernani, and you could notice in that game they were missing that attacking threat. They missed a clear open goal where the guy shoots the ball against his own foot. So I mean, they're not going to be as good as last year, and I'm sorry if there's any Guimarães fans on the podcast, but I doubt that they'll even make it to the top 5 or 6 of the league.
You got one Guimarães fan on the podcast right now. Me. And I wanted to point out that Salih's had a good game. The dude wins a lot of goddamn fouls, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. I was actually doing some scouting just because I have a fantasy team and I was trying to look at the players. I did have Celis because I thought he had a good game. I wanted to get Hurtado too, and Rafinha was definitely on my team at the
time. Timo, did you see the picture I sent you?
Yeah, so I'm looking at it now. I'd have to see the play only because, to see what actually happened.
I know
in the run-up of play. Was it a shot? Did he block a shot? Was he going up to, head a ball or chest the ball? I mean,
it's a cross. It's a cross, and he puts his body basically there to try and stop the cross, basically.
So, I'm probably going to go completely against what you guys are thinking, but if there's a cross and he's trying to block the cross or making it, to, its destination and it hits him in the arm, obviously that's a penalty in my opinion. Now, if it goes off of his leg, let's say he goes to, hit it and he hits it off his head and then into his arm, or, if the arm controls it first, it's a penalty. If it's not the arm and it's like, say, a deflection or something, off of himself, then into the arm, unless he's controlling it, it could go either way. I'm going to be in the minority here.
All right. I got something that can help you. But okay. Finish your what you were saying.
If it's something that he gains control of it, and it looks like he's moving his arm to get it, I think it's a penalty. But I know I'm going to be in the minority here, even though it's Benfica. I think if he's going to block a cross from getting to its destination, and it gets his arm first, and I think that's a penalty.
But so that play wasn't. I mean, I don't think I saw the play too. Peter, was that play even reviewed? No, right?
It took. Yeah, Soares Diaz asked Varela to not kick the goal kick, to not take the goal kick, so he could listen to what the video arbiter said, and they cleared the play. Timo, I sent you a bunch of screenshots. Whenever you have whenever you can see them. I'm not sure if you can see them.
I'm pulling it up now.
See if they loaded, because they haven't loaded for me. So, anyway, there were some other plays.
Are we going to talk about the Sporting?
Yeah, we are. Like a few minutes. We got time. I mean, the thing is, when you bring up a Porto fan, and you haven't talked about Porto. You want to spend a little bit of time with Porto, and when you don't bring a Sporting fan, that means that Sporting gets the backside of the podcast, which is like maybe even 10 minutes, not even that. But there's not even a lot to talk about the game anyway. Zemo, did you?
They're not loading, my man.
I know they're not loading. What the hell? Hold on,
That's right.
I'm gonna tweet them out. I'll tweet them out to you.
Okay. That damn Portugal internet.
And the last one that I sent, which is outside of the first four, is just so you can see where the play was. Like kind of the situation, how it looked like.
Gotcha.
Anyway, you see it?
Yeah. So he's on the corner. He shoots it up. I can't see where it hits him on his left arm because obviously it's blurry at that point. But it looks like it catches him under the arm.
Yeah, it looks like his elbow.
Yeah, it looks like it's either the elbow or it's below. It could have hit him in the chest, but if it goes from his leg to his elbow, I mean, that's not him trying to use his arm. That's it.
But was his arm next to like his body? That's what
it was.
It's on the side of him, but it's not up against him. You know how you have your elbow out to the side slightly. It's kind of like that. It's not extended by no. Like
if it hit the
angle.
If it hit the right arm, right arm, it's a straight up penalty.
Sure, the right arm, it's a penalty. Yeah.
But what does Jack think? What do you think, Jack?
I don't think that's a penalty personally.
Okay.
Yeah.
It looks natural to me. Like, because he looks like he's kind of fallen. It's like keeping his balance, like stopping him from falling back.
So, Jack, you said not a penalty?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
I'm gonna go ahead and say that Sam also thinks that it's not a penalty.
Well, looks like I'm an asshole.
He told me. I actually, Timo, but whenever we're done with the podcast, you watch the play, and I actually want to know what you think about it once you've actually seen video footage.
Will do.
Peter, all right. Can you send me the footage too?
Yeah. I'll find the video and I'll send it over to you. All right, and then we got like 5 minutes, 10 minutes to talk Sporting. I think this is kind of done though. I don't know if you guys want to add anything to the Supertaça game, but I thought it was.
Nope.
I think we pretty much covered everything. Video referee still sucks. Anyway, moving on.
The only thing, Peter, with the Supertaça, Benfica won it, right? It's just a Supertaça. But if it was Sporting, it'd be a grande festa. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I do. So
does the Supertaça count for like the triplete? Or
yes, it does. To me and to Benfica, because we did that before. I'm not sure if other people count it.
Didn't you guys win it last year too?
Yeah, and we did the triplet. There's like scarves with the triplet, so I don't know if people, whatever. It's whatever you want it to count. It counts if you don't want it to count.
It's still
I might be mistaken here, but I think Porto is the team with the most Supertaças.
They have 20.
Yes,
you need to listen to last episode. Yeah. Last week's episode, we talked about it. They have 20.
Supertaça was created for Porto.
Yeah, that's the Porto Cup.
That's what they everybody says.
Yeah, this is just joking around. Yeah. So moving on to the Sporting game, Desportivo das Aves lost 2-0 at home to Sporting. Gelson scored both goals. Patricio, Piccini, Coates, Matthew Coentrão across the back. William Carvalho, Bruno Fernandes, Adrian Silva, Gelson, Bas Dost, and Acunha. Rich, so did you catch the whole game or just bits of it?
I caught bits of it. But like from what I saw, to be honest with you, I saw from like 1-0 when they scored the first goal.
Which is a frango.
I was not too impressed with Sporting's performance overall. But I mean that's kind of called for. They were playing away in the Desportivo Aves was the stadium. The field is a little tighter pitch, so they did have a little difficulty there. But I wasn't too impressed with Sporting's performance, to be honest with you. I mean, there was some flashes, like even the goals. I think that I could even score the goals that Gelson scored, but No knock on Sportingistas. I love Sportingistas, but I was expecting to see a big game of Bas Dos, and I was a little disappointed. And but some of the new signings did impress me, like Piscini and Marcos Acuna. I think did well. He did miss a lot of opportunities too. Another Salvi. No, I'm just kidding. But
he hit the bar.
Yeah.
But
besides that, I don't know. I wasn't that impressed. I don't know.
I'm gonna paraphrase Sam. His exact words were, "Sporting looked phenomenal against Aves." So there you go. Just paraphrasing Sam. That's exactly what he said. To piggyback off you, Rich, I thought they didn't play bad, but I mean, Adriano kind of gave him a big help with that goal that he conceded, which was terrible. And then Sporting just kind of played their game. Piccini is not good. He's not better than Schelotto, not even close. So that's why they signed that new right back. Coentrão and Matthew looked okay, but they weren't tested too much. Bruno Fernandes, I was surprised to see play next to Bas Dost. I'm just going to say here, if you're listening to this podcast, Steph, I told you Podence wasn't going to start. Okay.
He came in.
Yeah, he did, but he's not going to start. And I really like that Gedge kid from Aves. He looked very good. I don't know who he is, but he looked good.
What's his name? Salvador or whatever his name is?
No, I was talking about the Gedge guy. That he almost scored like twice. Patricio had to make 2 big saves. I don't know if you remember. There's like one right near the end of the half that Piccini gives away the ball. He runs through them, shoots, and Patricio makes a big save. Anyway, whatever. That kid looked good. But Sporting wasn't too impressive. But they got the job done. I mean, Sporting fans liked it, so there's that. I mean, I don't really know what else there is to say about this game, to be honest with you guys.
Well, I'm happy that he didn't go with the 3-4-3 formation, because that would have probably killed him.
I would have been happy. Why wouldn't you be happy?
I'd be happy too.
No, I mean, yeah, but I'm saying, like, he was experimenting with that the whole preseason, so I was like, this guy thinks that he has the players like Chelsea to do a 3-4-3.
I would definitely be very happy with it.
Come on, Rich. Don't you get excited when Sporting loses and the lags are all like bent out of shape? I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, I want Sporting to lose all the time, but I like to see a competitive match.
Yeah.
At least you're being honest.
Yeah, he is. Timo, is there anything that you would like to maybe, say about, I don't know, something about this game or something that you might have watched?
So I obviously didn't watch the game. I was in the vicinity of somebody who was listening to the Halatu, and he was a Sportingista. So obviously every time Sporting did something, oh my God, they're gonna win the league. Was all I heard from the guy. And I didn't see anything, obviously, but I still think that Sporting, if they sell Adrian or William, I don't think they're gonna make it far without either one of them. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think there's something to it because he took off Adrian.
Yep.
What the hell takes off Adrian? I'm just, putting it out there.
I mean, you take off your motor or your glue because that's what he is, and I understand Sporting issues at this point. They're kind of just like, right, if he wants to go, just let him go. That's all fine and dandy. But when you let a player like that go, whether it's because he wants to or because the team's going to make crazy money, you're still losing in my opinion, the key player to the team that keeps the the flow, both tracking back and moving forward. I think you pretty much destroy the team.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I mean, it's kind of what we
do without William, though.
I think, yeah, they can because William's not that good.
Who's his replacement? Is it Battaglia?
There for center back, definitely.
Probably Battaglia.
And he's not terrible. So I actually kind of like him.
Solid. He's
Yeah.
solid. I mean, you still have Petrovic, even if that doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And you even have Padinha,
But
I
just
think.
just to compare Sporting squad a little bit with Benfica and Porto, I think that Sporting has a better defense than like. What do you guys think as far as like the players that they
I
put
don't
in?
know. I don't know who asked. I saw that question on Twitter. Or a comment like that to three Turkish. Anyway, I honestly think, and it was interesting because I was reading the question. I was like, people are gonna say, "Oh, that's same old Peter saying the same thing," but it's true. I don't know because honestly, first of all, I don't rate Piccini. Quads is very good, but I still have my
Mateo?
question marks about Matthew and Quintron. Like they played one good game. Like this game was good, yeah, but it doesn't mean that they're gonna stay consistently good. So for me to say that to me, Porto has the best defense in the league, like they basically did last year. And then it's kind of like Benfica in Sporting, and you have to figure out because first of all, I think Benfica is going to sign at least a goalkeeper and a right back. That's going to change up the squad. Having healthy Grimaldo also changes up the squad. While Sporting, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get that new guy, Ristkov or whatever.
Roshinsky.
Whatever. There you go. Coates, Matthew, and Quintrão. That's what you're going to get basically every single week. Now, if that doesn't work out well, because the thing with Sporting, they got no backups. They decided to boot Marvin for some reason. They booted Jefferson. They booted Esgaio. They got Bruno Cesar as the backup left back. Bro.
Bruno Cesar is the fill in the gaps. He fills in the gaps.
But
everywhere.
it's still something, you know.
No, well,
he's not good.
You forgot. You got William Carvalho as a center back as well. What are you talking about?
But I was talking about left backs, bro. But that works. And then you got
No, but I thought you were talking about the whole defense.
Yeah, I was gonna go there. And then you got who do you got? I mean, I don't even know who they have as center backs. They got Tobias Figueiredo, which is worse than Lisandro. So that's not good.
Starting, I think people rate Mathieu way too high. I mean, I honestly don't think he's that good of a center back. He's got height, and in my opinion, that's about it. I mean, he's slow. You know, he's not very agile. Cointreau is injury prone. Still, when he's healthy, I still think he's, a very, very good left back. But, everybody, talking shit about Benfica, saying Benfica has the worst defense of the big three. I don't know that I necessarily agree with it. I don't think it's that far off from all three of the big three. I mean, I think
Porto has the best one because of the two center backs.
Well, I think Porto is better. It's slightly, and it's because they're younger, and I think their center backs are quicker.
No, I think they have more depth. That's the thing too.
Well, no, they don't. You don't have depth. You got Reyes and Martins Indy.
No. Okay, you're talking about center backs, but what about the fullbacks? Like you got Dalot.
You got Layun.
They could get Diogo Dalot from the B team. You got
right,
you got Maxi.
But then you got Layun and you got Maxi, and having Ricardo Pereira and Teles isn't the same as having Layun and Maxi. Now, I'm not going to say that they're going to compromise because they won't, but it's still a big step down, like when it is when Benfica didn't have Smith, when Grimaldo and had Almeida and Eliseu. It's the same type of setback. People may not realize it, but at least in my opinion, going from Ricardo and Teles to Maxi and Layun is the exact same drop-off. It's a big drop-off. And I don't think that's why you're too good, but go ahead.
I was pretty upset they let go of Boli, too. I really like Boli, but whatever.
It's a weird signing. But yeah, I mean, I think they're not too far off. I think Benfica is by far the best offense in the league. I don't care. I don't care about Acunha, Gelson, and Bas Dost and Dumbia. I don't care. I think Benfica is the best offense in the league. I think Benfica is the best.
You could say proven because Sporting's ones are new signings and you don't know what to expect yet.
Dumbia is a good
player. Except for Bas Dost, of course, the lead scorer from last year.
What were you going to say, Jack?
Dumbia is a good player. I wouldn't underrate him.
No, I'm not.
I do rate him, like.
Yeah, I do too. I
agree.
He looks like he's 60.
But he plays like he's 20.
For all for all the jokes that the Sportingistas made about Renato Sanches, he's twice his age.
Yeah, he does. And then we got the best attacking midfielder in the league, by far, in my opinion, as well. And I believe Porto has the best defensive midfielder in the league, and I believe Sporting has the best center midfielder in the league. So it's kind of like, I think they're kind of really, every team's kind of in that same place where I think Sporting is favored to win the league. We Benfica coming next and Porto coming third, just because I don't see, I just haven't seen enough of Porto to put them ahead of Sporting in, because what
It's funny.
Sporting
It's
did.
funny you say that though, Peter, because I wanted to say though, like I have a bet with my father-in-law. I don't even think that Benfica will be top 3 this year.
Oh, shots fired.
Okay, fine, that's fine, whatever.
No, honestly, I really don't think that. I honestly think
That's
that Braga and
ridiculous.
Rio Ave have a better squad.
That's ridiculous, Rich. We're gonna win the league again. No, seriously. If Benfica doesn't win the league, if they finish second,
I think it's Porto
No,
and Sporting.
not even
to be
close.
honest.
See, so you're gonna
And it has to do with defense.
you're gonna be on next week, aren't you?
I can come on. Yes.
Okay. Me, you, and Steph are gonna talk that out next week because we seriously don't have the time. But it's ridiculous what you're saying. Okay, it's ridiculous.
It's gonna come to fruition. You see, I have a Leitão bet. So if you guys don't know what a Leitão is, a roasted little pig.
No, thank you. I don't like
with
Leitão.
with my father-in-law, and I really think that I don't think Benfica has a squad to last the whole season. You guys have majority of the players are over 30 years old, so I don't know.
All right, just give me
or close to 30.
Okay, let me just. Oh my god, I want to end the podcast because we're running really late. But
all right, talk about
real quick. No, I have to. Bruno Varela is young. Andrew Cesar is old. But if we sign that Hardaki, whatever the name of the guy is, he's 27, I believe, or 28. So he's not that old. Andre Almeida is like 28. Boot is 20. Luizão is 36, I believe, and Jardel is 31. Grimaldo is 21, with Luizão being 33. Feza is like 27. Samardzija is like 26. Filipe Augusto is like 23. Pizzi is like 27. Horta is like 20.
20.
Krian is like 20.
Zivkovic, 21,
Zivkovic
22.
21. Servis 22. Salvi is 28. Rafa is 23. Jonas is like 33. Raul is like 26. Mitroglou is 30. And Seferovic is like 25. We're not an old team. If you run through every single position, Benfica is not an old team. They have a lot of depth and a lot of youth that you guys aren't counting. I mean, Carrillo is like 26.
Look, all the guys that you mentioned that are younger, 25. Which ones can you say are really like wow, like they're amazing, like
Servi, Zivkovic.
Okay, yes, Servi, Zivkovic. Those are the two that I was gonna point out too.
Krian's been phenomenal.
Rafa, you guys paid so much money for him, and he's on the bench. He's not even being used.
There's more. There's Rafa. There's Zivkovic. There's Servi. There's Krian. There's Horta. There's Diogo Gonçalves. There's Buta, in my opinion, because I believe Buta is going to be a very good right back. There's Grimaldo. And I believe Kalaisa might have a word in a few seasons. That's 9 players, just like that.
But they're not being used. Like they're not starting 11. Like even on the bench, some of these guys.
Fine, but we got the depth. Benfica is the team with the most depth in the league. Like cannot. That is not underestimated. We got like 29 players.
But the starting 11, like go through the starting 11 and tell me how old these guys are.
No, I get it. But it depends if they're fit or not. If the team's fit, it probably 25, 26. The average probably goes a bit up because of Luizão. If you take off Luizão and Jonas and Júlio César, it's a young team, mid-20s.
Okay.
Because they skin the average because one's 36, the other's 37, and the other's 33. If you take those 3 off, it's an average of like 25, 26. Anyway, 1 minute, Timo. I give you 1 minute to rebuttal what Richard said about Benfica not even being a top 3 team. 1 minute.
So my rebuttal could be summed up in one GIF, and it's that GIF with the dog that shakes its head or like cocks its head to the side and says, "What the fuck?" That's pretty much my rebuttal. No. I think you're underestimating Benfica like everyone else has the last 2 or 3 years. We've heard this time and time again where Benfica, doesn't have the depth. I remember last year on this exact podcast, stating, Kevin saying that Porto had a deeper squad or Sporting had a deeper squad, between him and Sam or whoever. But yet Benfica, who had 73 injuries last year, still had enough depth with 73 injuries to, win the league. I think people underestimate a lot of the younger players that Benfica have, yet they give way too much credit to the other teams. I know William's still young, Gelson's still young and all that. I think we give those guys more credit because they've been in the league longer and because, they have been playing many more years than a lot of players like Sergio, who I think already proved that he's starter material. Zivkovic, who's proven that he's already started material. From the very little I've seen of Kriyan, I think he could be starter material, but he's not going to be because guess what? He's got somebody in front of him who is better. I think you're underestimating Benfica solely because of their defense. I think teams like Sporting and even Porto are going to have a lot of difficulty stopping Benfica's offense, where we may have difficulty stopping yours as well. I think the defense this year for all three teams is not going to be as good as we all think it is. Where I think all three teams, and here's my big prediction, all three of the big three are going to give up more than 20 goals this year, where Porto and Benfica did not last year.
Yeah, so, like 18, 19, something like that.
One of them was Benfica, I think was
18,
and Porto, I think was 17 or 18.
No, Porto was like 19 because we had the best defense in the league, so they were like 19.
I think we're knocking on Benfica, but that's okay because you know what, we like the challenge.
Yeah, for some reason we're the underdogs. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to close up the podcast right now. I mean, there's still things that I have in the back of my head that I'll probably forget next week.
Write them down.
It's not a problem. We'll talk about it next week. Don't worry about it. Thank you, Timo. Thank you, Rich. And thank you, Jack, for being basically a live guest on the show.
Thanks for the gift, Jack. That worked perfect.
Cheers for letting me come on, guys.
No problem, man. Hopefully you can be on like later. Hopefully to talk a little bit extra than what you did. But yeah, we're going to close out the podcast. Thank you, guys. And condolences to you, Kevin. You will not be, alone on your struggle. See you guys next week.